transformation. Therefore, in line with the mass-line philosophy of the NRM, we must prioritize the following. Number one, peace and security of persons and their property in all parts of the country. Number two, accelerating industrialization with focus on building factories which use locally available materials as inputs. Number three, export promotion and import substitution by boosting the domestic manufacturing capacity. Number four, strengthening the private sector. Number five, increasing market access for our exports, both in the regional markets such as East African Community, COMESA, among others, and international markets. Number six, skilling our youth through the zonal industrial hubs. The youth will continue to acquire skills in tailoring, carpentry, metal fabrication, welding, shoemaking, weaving, hairdressing, knitting, and bakery. We shall add also plumbing and motor mechanics. The training is free of charge and no prior education qualifications are required, as you all know. Number seven, increasing revenue collection by Uganda Revenue Authority without hurting businesses. Number eight, expenditure rationalization by restructuring government. And I thank the Parliament here, as you heard the Speaker was listing those bills which you passed, which enabled this rationalization to take place. Fighting corruption. Number nine. Number 10, ensuring that the remaining 33% of the homesteads still practicing subsistence agriculture join the money economy. The general security situation in the country is calm. However, the traditional and non-traditional threats to national security continue to manifest in the form of terrorism, negative political activism, general and cross-border crime, as well as health and environmental risks. The national borders are secure, save for the spillover effects resulting from the conflicts in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, Sudan, Khartoum, and Somalia. These include influx of refugees and asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, and proliferation of small arms and light weapons. The capacity of the national security agencies, i.e. Uganda Police Force, the Internal Security Organization, supported by the Army, the UPDF, has been enhanced in order to combat crimes and guarantee the safety of all Ugandans. You saw how they stopped this young person who blew herself up the other day because she wanted to go into where people are, but it was foiled. It was intercepted before, and she decided to blow herself up because she was discovered. The security situation in Karamoja sub-region has significantly improved, despite pockets of criminality in the form of livestock thefts and some incursions by the Pokot and Turkana from Kenya. Deployments to stop cattle thefts by some of the Karamojong in the neighboring sub-districts, sub-regions of Sebei, Teso, Langu, and Acholi have been maintained. In the eastern DRC, the joint FADC is the Congolese army, UPDF operations against ADF are ongoing with significant achievements. Since November 2024, 223 abductees have been rescued from captivity and some firearms and bombs have been captured, including IEDs, improvised explosive devices. The government continues to modernize and professionalize Uganda's security forces by improving their welfare and strengthening the cooperation between the civilian population and the security forces. The UPDF, Uganda People's Defense Force Construction Brigade, has rehabilitated schools in rural communities and together with the National Enterprise Corporation has been involved in the rehabilitation of major infrastructure such as Entebbe International Airport. It is paramount to jealously regard Uganda's political and economic stability. All attempts to destabilize Uganda by internal and external actors have been thwarted and defeated. We welcome mutual and non-parasitic collaboration with everybody. Uganda's priorities and interests are very clear, and therefore our allies must respect and uphold them in all their dealings with us. The patriotic leadership in charge of the country's affairs cannot deviate from its historical mission to defend and transform Uganda and Africa on account of threats by some of our allies who misunderstand our goals and methods of work. For instance, we are soon finalizing the construction of the 1,443 East African crude oil pipeline from Bulisa on Lake Albert to Tanga in Tanzania. This East African crude pipeline will take our crude oil to the international market through the sister country of Tanzania. The construction of the standard gauge railway, which I launched last year, is soon starting, and we have signed a memorandum of understanding with Alpha BNP Investment Group of the United Arab Emirates to start the construction of the oil refinery in Hoima. Many other projects in roads, energy, ICT, schools, hospitals, and agriculture have continued to be implemented despite the World Bank and the USA suspending new financing to Uganda. Our economy remains strong and resilient. It was recently ranked 7th by the International Monetary Fund among the fastest growing economies of the whole world. The size of the economy is projected at Uganda shillings $224.9 trillion, equivalent to $60 billion by the end of June 2025. In 1986, the economy was only Uganda shillings 42 billion, or US dollars 3.9 billion. This means that in dollar terms, the size of the economy has expanded nearly 15 times since the NRM government took power in January 1986. The economy grew by 6.7% in the first quarter of this financial year, compared to 5.6% recorded in the same period last year. This is on top of the growth of 6.1% in the financial year 2023-2024. Economic growth is projected at 6.3% this financial year and further projected to grow to 7% in the financial year 25-26. It is projected to grow faster when commercial production of oil and gas starts next year. In purchasing power parity terms, our economy is projected to be US dollars $171.6 billion by the end of this financial year in June 2025. And next financial year, equivalent to about 65.7 billion using the Atlas method. This would be equivalent to US dollars 187 billion in purchasing power parity terms. This growth will translate into higher household incomes from US dollars 1,259 income per capita by the end of this financial year to US dollars 1,330 as income per capita next financial year. In the past 4 years, our growth has been broad-based, inclusive, and pro-poor. The latest National Housing Survey report that was released recently by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics shows that the share of Ugandans living below national poverty line has fallen to 16% from 20% 4 years ago, surpassing the 2025 national target of 18.5%. With the continued implementation of the PDM, we are on track to completely wipe out poverty in the near future. The same UBOS report revealed that income inequality has also declined significantly over the last 4 years. The Gini coefficient, a statistical measure used to determine the extent of income inequality within a population, has reduced to 38% from 41% in 2020. In the 12 months to March 2025, export receipts from merchandise trade increased by 26% to US dollars 9.3 billion. The Ugandan shilling is the most stable currency in the whole of Africa. During the past 12 months, it has appreciated by 6.1%. Inflation is under control. It is projected at 3.6% in financial year 2024-2025. And Uganda has experienced Africa's second lowest inflation rate in the past decade. Foreign direct investment inflows are projected at US dollars 3.8 billion, while tourism and remittance receipts from our Ugandans abroad are projected at US dollars 1.5 billion and 1.4 billion respectively. During the next 5 years, it is projected that Uganda's GDP is going to more than double to USD 158 billion in 2030 in exchange rate terms, and US dollars 296 billion in purchasing power parity terms. These achievements are not by accident. They are on account of deliberate and focused government interventions. Cumulatively, over the last 10 years, government has injected 8 trillion shillings in strategic wealth creation initiatives, which have boosted economic performance. These initiatives include: number one, capitalization of the Uganda Development Bank, 1.45 trillion shillings, to provide affordable capital to manufacturers and small businesses. 2, parish development model, 3.4 trillion by the end of this financial year for the poor rural families. 3, Emyoga, 553 billion shillings. 4, Youth Livelihood Program, 207 billion. 5, Small Business Recovery Fund, 100 billion. 6, Agricultural Credit Facility, 495 billion. Youth Venture Capital Fund, 12.5 billion. Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, 168 billion. Invite Project, 800 billion. the GROW project, 824 billion, and Uganda Development Corporation, shillings 1.2 trillion, among others. Merchandise goods exports grew by 26% to US $9.3 billion in the year ending March 2025. The top exports include gold, 3.7 billion, coffee, 1.8 billion, cocoa, 410 million, industrial products such as cement, US dollars 335 million, metal products such as steel, US dollars 230 million, sugar, US dollars 190 million, fish, 177 million. The export value of milk and milk products increased 10 times from US dollars 28 million in 2015 to US dollars 285 million in 2024. The total export earnings of goods and services reached US dollars 11.81 billion by March 2025. The prices of consumer goods and services have remained low, averaging 3.4% in the past 12 months to April 2025. This is good for savers and investors to be able to plan their investments and plan with certainty. The low inflation was due to a stable exchange rate, good crop harvests, and the decreasing global prices of liquid fuels. The prices of diesel, petrol, and kerosene reduced by 4.2%, 2.5%, and 1.7% respectively on average for the year ending April 2025. The increased domestic capacity in sugar production has led to a reduction in the consumer prices of sugar by 10.8% in April from what it was the same month a year ago. For Abaganda tugamba akatari kabbe temanyi Luganda. Akatari kabbe oli amagumba sura mu mulyango. Bano Baganda bakika ki bannange? The prices of beef have increased by 10%, in part due to the increased export of beef to the Middle East, which has increased demand. This is good for the cattle keepers. The problem we still have is the disease outbreaks in some parts of the country, as well as cattle thefts. Government has recently vaccinated livestock in most parts of the country, but in some places, there is laxity in implementation of the quarantines. District leaders should always ensure that quarantines, especially against foot and mouth disease, are strictly adhered to. As a result of the strong foundation that the NRM government has built over the years, foreign direct investment was US dollars 3.5 billion for 12 months up to March 2024. This was mainly in mining, transport, manufacturing, finance, etc. The single largest source of FDI was the Netherlands, 55%, followed by France, 20%, Kenya, 6%, Tanzania, 5%, UK, 4%, and others 10%. In 1986, the government collected only shillings 5 billion in revenue because private businesses and manufacturing had collapsed. When the NRM took power, we embarked on the rehabilitation of the economy and adopted the policies of liberalization and reformation of the public institutions. As a result, the revenue collection capacity has improved. Revenue collection is projected at Uganda shillings 31.9 trillion. This financial year, ending June 2025, equivalent to 14.3% of total economic output of GDP. This is still less than the desired level to finance our development plans. The government plans to collect shillings 37.2 trillion in domestic revenue next financial year, 2025-2026. In order to boost revenue collection, the government will implement the following steps. Number one, enhancing efforts to fight corruption at the URA through regular audits, whistleblowers, and leveraging digital platforms to minimize human interaction. Two, minimizing tax evasion using the electronic fiscal receipt and invoicing solutions, EFRIS, digital tax system, DTS, and intrusive scanners to improve real-time monitoring of taxable transactions, ensure accurate declaration of revenues, and curb under-invoicing. Three, combating smuggling at border points through extended surveillance using advanced technologies like drones and tracking systems with increased patrols in high-risk areas. Four, adopting specific tax duties to address under-declaration of values, particularly in manufacturing and imports of high-value goods. Five, supporting local governments, including municipalities, to increase revenue collection. Six, recruitment and training of more tax officers at Uganda Revenue Authority and other revenue collection institutions. Our economy is now more diversified and more sophisticated. In 1986, the economy depended only on the 3 C's, which are coffee, cotton, and copper, and the 3 T's, which are tobacco, tea, and tourism. According to a study conducted by the Harvard Economic Lab, in the last 10 years, Uganda added 20 new products to its export basket and has an opportunity of harnessing production of 50 new complex products. Some of these new products include ICT equipment, serums and vaccines, medicines, new pneumatic tires, batteries, gas turbines, electronic integrated circuits, transmission apparatus for radio, telephone, television sets, measuring instruments for physical and chemical analysis, and among others. These new products have contributed to the continued diversification of our exports. Manufacturing is the answer to the challenge of unemployment. Uganda has got raw materials and human resource that can support factories specializing in the manufacture of automobiles, electronics, steel, textiles, furniture, food products, pharmaceuticals, aluminum products, etc. Some of the new products which are manufactured here and contributing to our export earnings include an electronics manufacturing plant in Namamvi Industrial Park, producing 120,000 hair dryers and 60,000 refrigeration parts per year. Number two, pharmaceutical companies producing 4 million single HIV pills and 2 million other medicines per year. Number three, dairy farms, which produce 5.3 billion liters of milk, and processing plants such as Royal Milk Enterprises, Jezad Farm, Brookside Dairy, Amos Dairies, Lakeside Dairies, GBK Dairy, Pearl Dairy, etc., which process about 800 million liters of milk and 365 million tons of cheese per year. Number four, cut flowers worth US dollars 120 million being exported to Europe and other countries per year. Number five, 2,000 tons of avocado and 4,000 tons of bananas being exported to countries like South Sudan, Kuwait, Thailand, and South Korea per year. Electronics, pharmaceuticals, and solar energy products worth US dollars million being exported to the regional international markets per year. Therefore, with the roads and electricity we have now, the emphasis on skills development and the entrepreneurial spirits of Ugandans, the country can increase the share of manufacturing goods in total economic output to the levels of South Korea, Thailand, or Malaysia. In Uganda's case, this is currently valued at US dollars 8 billion. It was only US dollars 237 million in 1986. The return on investment in Uganda is high. It averages 14% per year and can be higher in some sectors compared to an average of only 5.2% in Europe in 2022. This is very important for you to understand that when you invest here, you make profits more easily than when you invest in Europe. In Europe, 5.2%, here, more than 14%. If you invest in Uganda, you get back your initial investment capital in about 5 to 7 years, and the rest is profit, which our laws allow you to repatriate without restrictions. Government has put in place a strategy to increase the size of the economy to US dollars 500 billion by 2040 or earlier. My people talk of 2040, but me, I want it earlier. This strategy identifies 4 anchor sectors. These are agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development, including oil and gas, and science, technology, and innovation, i.e., taking advantage of the knowledge economy by prioritizing investment in research and development. Agriculture production and agro-industrialization. Government has invested in irrigation in order to boost agricultural production. This is because the provision of water for irrigation reduces the likelihood of crop failure on account of water scarcity. Although Uganda's irrigation area has increased from 22,000 hectares to 23,000 hectares, the country, however, Irish potatoes, watermelons, tomatoes, apples, cabbages, pineapples, coffee, eggplants, vanilla, grapes, mangoes, and pumpkins. Construction works are also ongoing for 22 solar-powered irrigation demonstration sites in the districts of Kabarole, Chenjojo, Kole, Gulu, Napak, Abim, etc. In Nakaseke district, the construction works for Chirema, Phase 1, a medium-scale irrigation scheme, have been completed, thus adding a total of 124 hectares and benefiting 50 farmers engaged in coffee growing, passion fruits, maize, and bananas. Magezi g'Abaganda. The construction works for Wadelai irrigation scheme, 1,000 hectares in Pakwach district, stand at 93